mic or the floor up to you, but come closer. And sisters should be able to see and hear very well from the back. If there's any issues, then one of them can just text me. With that, the temple of Qureshi was come from based in Woking, so we're trying to do and he helped to run an institute called the Rabat Institute, and they primarily do Islamic education for the local community. They do a lot of good work on the work. Faiz, he studied abroad for a number of years, since 2001. And then he left in 98 to go and study abroad in a number of countries, Syria and North Africa, mainly studied in Yemen and Turin. And I studied with a lot of respected scholars, some of who are passed away, some who are still with us. And when he came back, he helped to establish the Rabat Institute. And they are the people who have provided the handout that you have. This is for you to keep and to encourage you to make notes on it. It can be very useful for you, inshallah. And Shaykh currently works as a chaplain and imam at the Broadmoor prison. So he deals with a lot of people with serious problems, and he's very experienced with that. So something that is also something we may want to hear in the future about, that type of topic. This is something that affects all communities, and the Muslim community is not any exception to people with mental health issues or physical issues or crime or murderers, all this kind of stuff. So we'll have to take this inshallah. The rough plan is that we will go through the text as best we can. Asr is at 3 o'clock, so that will be a natural break. So we'll see how far we get with the text. If we're finished with that, then I think it will be kind of the practical aspect will come in where we will try and actually implement what we have read. Because that's the whole idea. It's not just to read it and go home, but to try and role play the situation, how to shroud, how to clean, etc., etc. Maghrib is then at 4:20, I think. So between Asr and Maghrib, we have maybe roughly an hour to try and do that. And then, questions, Q&A after that, inshallah, on the topic. So we'll see how quickly we get through it, inshallah.
السلام عليكم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الحمد لله فينا وكافر مزيدا، الحمد لله رب العالمين، الحمد لله فينا وكافر مزيدا، الحمد لله رب العالمين، الحمد لله فينا وكافر مزيدا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gathering, inshallah, bless this masjid that, mashallah, honors that jihad, our comrade Azam, used to give us a lot of his own time in our community, mashallah, establishing the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the sunnah of archery. So it's befitting that we respond in time. We're honored to be here, mashallah, to spend some time with you. As Brother Jihad mentioned, I had the blessing of studying for a little bit of time abroad, and that's primarily why I had my tutor in the specific discipline of how to wash the deceased. Likewise, I always try to remember when I go to new places or new classes that as you have mentioned, I have the blessing of working with some of your incarcerated brothers in Broadmoor and likewise in West London, and always ask me to convey salams to you all in hopes that you will supplicate likewise, inshallah, for them. It is an area I think we need people to get more involved with, if only just visiting our brothers there just in the month of Rabi'a, that's just passed by Rabi'a Awwal, a couple of brothers that make Islam. But one thing that makes them, the difficulties that each and every single one of them face, they get happy when we remind them, we make mention of them, inshallah, in other gatherings. So please do keep them in your supplications, inshallah, and likewise, you will be in their supplications. So inshallah, as Jihad mentioned, this is a practical course, so there's going to be hopefully a detailed demonstration where we'll be engaging some of you all to play the dead body. And it's a chapter in fiqh that we have the blessings of studying, but as our teachers tell us, there's 3 chapters in fiqh no matter how many times you study them until you engage with them, they're not going to become a reality for you. The first one I say is the Hajj. No matter how many times you read about Hajj or study the chapter of Hajj, until you actually go for the Hajj is when it becomes something which is more real to you. The second chapter in fiqh that they say until you do it, you won't get it, is marriage. Until you get married, then you're going to have a full understanding of what it means to be married. You can study that chapter as many times as you like. And likewise, as Stephen made, to wash the dead body is something that no matter how many times you can read over it, until we do it, we're not going to fully grasp it. And as our tradition is a tradition that calls us to make mention of death and the afterlife. The Prophet said, excessively remember the destroyer of delights. Likewise, we have on the first page the Quran ayah, إِنَّ الْمَوْتَ الَّذِي تُفِرُّونَ مِنْهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, the death that you flee from, فَإِنُّ مُلَاقِيكُمْ, it's going to meet you, لَا مَحَالَ, without doubt. And in the Arabic language, what's interesting is that mulaqi, because it's its name, you're fleeing from it, but in essence you're fleeing to it, and it's running towards you. And it's something that, as one of our teachers or the ancients versed in a line of poetry, when he lamented, "Ani ansa al-mawtu aqrabu alayhi," how the furthest thing from my mind is death, but it's the closest thing, the most real thing to me. And it's one of those uniting factors that people can have quote-unquote beefs in the community, but when someone dies, we're going to get together for that, right? So it befits us to enact these verses of the Quran, these ahadith, about the remembrance of death. One of the primary ways of remembering death is, as the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, said, "Zur al-qabura fa inna tudhakkirukum al-akhirah." Visit the graves, for verily they remind you of the next life. In my minimal experience, there is nothing more of a sobering experience when you engage in washing the deceased. It's a wake-up call which it's almost second to none. That when we visit the graves, the purpose of visiting graves is to reflect and ponder about what people. Allah says in the Quran, every soul's going to taste death, right? Irrespective of faith, irrespective of age, irrespective of inclination, color, life, everyone's going to taste death. And so, a sobering experience is when you put your hands on a dead body. But it's an experience, or it's our tradition, we're very blessed in our tradition that we have the concept of what we call sanad, the chain of narration going back to things. So ordinarily when someone teaches something, he has to have a chain going back to where he took his knowledge from. One of the greats said, "Al-Isnad bin ad-Din," that Isnad is from our religion. If it was not for this chain of narration, any person would say whatever it is they wanted to say. Right? So, a blessing of traditions that we have sanad going back to all of these different disciplines. Whatever I know that Shaykh Ahmed Sa'ad teaches here, mashallah, Arba'in with 40 hadith on Nawawi. Likewise, we know that there's a chain of narration, so that knowledge is conveyed generation upon generation. Likewise, this has a sanad. This washing the dead body has a sanad. But the horror stories that we sometimes hear or experience to us are how bodies are washed. My own mother, may Allah bless her, inshallah, and bless all of our parents, was attending a ghusl of one of the elder aunties that passed away in our community. And when she came back to me, she was really disturbed. And she said that they were so harsh with the woman that when they were rubbing her, her ear and nose started to bleed. In the books of our tradition, it says, "And you engage with a dead body as if he or she is alive." And it's because they have a sense. Just because they are rendered impotent from expressing that, they have a sense as to what's going on. And so you're going to see that the sanad, the chain of narration that we took to wash a dead body, is a very respectful, it's a very, firstly it's long. In the locality that I studied in, they say that the best wash you're going to get in Tarim is when you die. On average, how long do you think people spend on washing the deceased ordinarily? Roughly. As a norm, in my experience of speaking with different communities, you spend about 30 minutes to 40 minutes.
That's my experience.
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes as a norm. In the Yemen, they spend, including the showering, 3 hours. You are physically tired at the end of it. The ulama say, another, if just to gaze upon a dead body weakens you. How much more do you actually touch it? Engaging fully. And it's a process that we're going to spend a long time over. Why do you think they spend such a long time over washing a dead body? Why not do it half an hour? It can be done in half an hour. It can be done in 10 minutes if you want it to be done in 10 minutes. To fulfill the fard, the obligation. Why do you think they spend, including the showering, almost 3 hours over it? Because that's your send-off to Allah. So you want to meet Him in the best of states. So they spend time over it. When you finish, you are physically, mentally drained. Okay? But it's a very spiritual experience. Because, like I said, there's nothing more sobering. That is what is going to remind you of the next life. More so if it's someone who you know, but irrespective of that. Since I've been after having the training abroad, since I've been in the UK, I've done around approximately 30 or so, from stillborns to children to disabled people to the elderly. There's no two washes that are the same. Not just from the aspect of those who Allah is going to put before you on this table, but from the aspect of emotionally, like a stillborn or a miscarriage, which will go into the rulings associated to that, may be physically the easiest wash you would do, but emotionally it's probably the most difficult, right? So it's something that we're going to take our time over, it's something we're going to engage the family over. It's a very subtle, delicate terrain to navigate. So alhamdulillah, we're blessed that we're here learning these things, these ihya, to revive these type of knowledges which are fading away. So the text that you have before you, as you had mentioned, what we're going to do, we're going to look briefly as to what do we do on death. Then we're going to give the demonstration about how I was taught to wash the deceased, bearing in mind that from the moment a person passes away to the time that they're placed in the grave, we are going to remove their clothing, we're going to wash them thoroughly, we're going to shroud them and bury them. The whole time you will not see any part of their nakedness. And that's what we're going to try and impart in this session here today. So we're going to look at what happens on death. We're going to look through the demonstration where we'll be engaging one or two of you. I prefer jihad, if that's okay, for some odd reason, to have him dead on this table. Then we're going to, I brought a friend of mine to do the shrouding for a specific reason, which I'll tell you when we do that. And then inshallah, I'm subject to the timetable with regard to prayers and the like here, inshallah. So you will tell me we need to break for prayers or the like, inshallah. Is that okay? Today, okay, so if you turn to the second page of the text, it's going to speak about the rights for one close to death, which we call the muhtadar, someone who is close to death. And death, the first thing we have to realize, it's a very painful experience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for it to be painful. Imam al-Ghazali speaks about his book in Remembrance of Death and the afterlife, that it's so painful that one can't even express the pain. That's how painful it is. When Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad, saw what her father, the best of creation, Sayyid al-Khalq, was being subject to, she said what? In the Mawt Sakarat. Indeed, death has an agony. Seeing the best of creation go through that. So something Allah has decreed for mankind. Every soul is going to taste death. So, when that person is in that state, there's certain etiquette or adab that we're going to try and impart. So it says here, it's recommended for one close to death to be encouraged to hold a good opinion of his Lord, because of the arduous situation that he or she is in. So someone should encourage them with the verses of rahmah, mercy and the like. That you should remind or encourage one to be in a state of repentance and a state of dhikr. The Prophet said, in a hadith, that there's two traits. There's nothing over and above or beyond these two. حُسْنًا فِي اللَّهِ وَحُسْنًا فِي عِبَادِ اللَّهِ. To hold God in high regard, to have a good opinion of Allah, and to have a good opinion of the servants of Allah. So we want to try and encourage that state, bearing in mind that that person is going through what? A lot of pain. A lot of pain. Pain to the extent that what? They can't even express it. Right? And that's something to ponder. If able, one should be placed on the right side, so if the Qibla for our purposes in that direction, someone should be placed on the right side facing the Qibla. If they're unable to, they should be placed lying down with their head upwards facing the Qibla. One should say the testimony of faith, and this should be done gently, reciting it audibly in his presence. One thing they tell you not to do is tell the person to say what? Say La ilaha illallah. Ma min abdin, Sahih Muslim, Ma min abdin, there's never a servant, Mata wajhadu la ilaha illallah, who passes away testifying La ilaha illallah, illa haram Allah alayhi an-nar, except Allah will prohibit for that person the hellfire. Why do we not tell the person to say La ilaha illallah if the hadith is so clear? There's no free biryani we have to speak. Yeah? This is more of a workshop as opposed to
maybe they
beautiful. Yeah? Maybe they are. But there's another reason based on what I just told you about the state that he or she is in, why we don't say La ilaha illallah.
Isn't that the agony, and also the thing about saying La ilaha illallah is state that you're going to ask them and they're not going to be able to say it because they didn't live their life according to La ilaha illallah, so it's not going to come out. We'll be upset, they'll be upset, so rather yeah.
So in essence, yes. When imagine someone's in that, the most painful state they've ever been in their life, and you say La ilaha illallah, and they say no. Is that how you want them meeting their Lord? So hence, if you're around them and you're saying La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, that's hopefully an encouragement for them to pick that up and say that, so that they go and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having said La ilaha illallah. La qadarullah, God forbid, you would say La ilaha illallah, and they pass me. Because again, you're not going to blame them, here you're at fault. Right? You don't want to pass and say no. And that's based on their state. So it says here to encourage one to say the testimony of faith, and this should be done by others gently reciting it audibly in his or her presence. And then the last point we have here is a hadith of Prophet Iqra'u Yasin al-Amatim, you receive Yasin on your deceased. The references are there. Likewise, Ra'ad, some of the etiquettes in relation to what people can recite there or thereabouts. Okay? So that's for the rights of one who's close to passing away, and there's more, but we're just going to suffice with this. What do we do upon death? Okay, I'm going to ask someone now to come up here. Sorry to ask.
Customary on some occasions, the near and dear and the family members, they start reciting Surah Yasin when the person is still alive, but perhaps in the state of passing. Is that the correct thing to do?
It's permissible to do that, yes. Yeah, it's permissible to do that. There's no problem doing that. Ordinarily, if it's like Quran generally in your presence, it's okay to do that. But I need a volunteer. On death, the person now has passed away. Okay, prior to the things we took, there's certain things which we have to do. If the person's mouth is open, we should close the mouth, close his eyes, to keep the mouth closed, because what's going to happen to the body when, or to the joints when a person is away, is that rigor mortis is now starting the process going to set in now. Okay? So to close the mouth, you close it and then you wrap a bandage or the like around here. Okay? What you'll find is that we're speaking here about best case scenario. What could happen? What could happen is that a person could pass away in hospital. They may have to do a post-mortem, which is a very invasive procedure, which again I think we should explore a little bit. Much of Allah bless eternal guidance eternally for being here as well. I'm sure they can answer some of the questions you want in that regard. But best case scenario that we have the body's in the house or the like. What happens if you get the body? We had an uncle who passed away I think it was last year over the Christmas period, and so they won't release the body until the doctor signs off the cause of death. We tried to engage with the coroner and like to release the body. It's fairly clear why he had passed away, but because they said they wanted to do an autopsy. Happened on a day where 3 or 4 days has to pass by before the coroner they can perform the post-mortem. During that time, they will keep the body in refrigeration. After the post-mortem, then they release the body. So by the time you get the body, certain things may have set in now which is beyond you. And so you're going to have to do the best thing that you can in the situation that you're in. But best case scenario, if we have access to the deceased as soon as possible, we're going to close the mouth. I've had situations where I've got the body 4 days later, the jaw's set now. I can't do anything, which is not pleasant for the family. It makes the washing a little bit more complicated, and the light, but it just is what it is. Hence, why I said to you earlier, there's no two washes that are the same. You're going to have issues where, for whatever reason, blood vessels are happening, so the nose might start bleeding independently, and there's ways to deal with that. Okay, but best case scenario, you're closing the eyes, close the mouth, you secure the head. This, depending on, like I said, when you get the body, this is going to be easy or it might be difficult. If the body is old, again, there's differences which happen in that regard. If it's young, there's more flexibility and maneuverability there as well. So you have to take it case by case basis. If you need to tie this more secure to keep the mouth shut, you would get some cotton or the like, and you put it what? On the top of the head. Okay? Just respectfully. And then you ensure that you secure. You would cover the body with an opaque cloth. And what you would also do is you would place something. They say in the books of law, the modern books of law, like a large pair of scissors, the weight of that. Sometimes you can get like a book, wrap it up in something, and you're going to place it on the stomach. The Khalid of Prophet Muhammad Sayyidina Anas, one of his family passed away, he said to place a small piece of iron on the stomach. We do that because when the body starts to decompose, the stomach starts to swell up. So we want to keep something not too heavy on the stomach to ebb the nature of that swelling. Okay? Again, best case scenario, you would go around the body or the like. What you also need to be doing at this stage is loosening the joints. This is going to help you because you're going to see in the body you have to move the body in certain ways when we're washing. So you're going to get here. Likewise on the other side, and likewise at the knee. Right? By doing this, it's going to help you a lot when you're involved with washing. If we leave these things, and like I said, I'm speaking again, best case scenario here, then what happens? Rigor mortis sets in and makes it a lot more difficult to wash the body. How often would you loosen the joints? Every 3 hours suffices. Okay, every 3 hours suffices. It's best to not leave the body unattended. It's going to be around again. That's better. Clothing. How would one remove clothing? Say that again? That's the easiest method. Again, who makes that decision? The family. Right? The family will make that decision. Okay? What's easier to do, because we don't want to keep what? Moving the body out again. So it's easier to just cut again. The whole time, like I said, from the moment of passing until inshallah we place the person, the person in the grave, their aura is going to be covered. Okay? So again, the cloth that you would have to get, 2 things opaque, it would have to be wide enough so it drapes over the side, ensuring the aura is covered from the neck to the lower ankle for a woman, and at least from the navel to the lower knee for a man. It's better to have it as draped like this, and then you would gently remove the clothing. It's easier to cut it, but like I said, always let the family make that decision. Okay, some people want to keep things for whatever reason, then you have to work with that. So we said here that Close the eyes, gently close the mouth, secure a bandage around the head, loosen the joints at the elbows and knees in order to further onset of rigor mortis. This will help when it comes to washing. Clothes to be removed, covered with an opaque cloth, facing the Qibla as we said before. Items such as a large pair of scissors or a medium-sized book should be placed on the stomach so as to stop the swelling. Supplication for the deceased should be done throughout the aforementioned. He says here about someone should take charge of the deceased affairs in relation to debts owed and the like. That's someone else's responsibility. What's really good is that obviously the family are going to be what? Distraught. So there's always someone that should take charge of all these things. Like they say the ta'ziyah about people visiting likewise to have food and the like. It's sunnah for the family to be supported in that regard, not that the onus is upon them to do that. So to take care of the deceased affairs, the body is then transferred to the washing suite, paying due care that at every given moment, imagine this is your mother, your father, whoever you're washing, you don't want them to be exposed, right? So you're going to be very, very anal about the covering of one's nakedness from this moment until you're placing him or her in their graves. The last point here, second to last point says what? That the person washing this deceased should be trustworthy. Okay? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he passed away, before he passed away, there's a hadith from Ali, his cousin, that said, "Awsani an-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and la yughsilu ahadan ghayri." That the Prophet counseled me that no one should wash and save me. Then he goes on to say what? He goes, وَمَنْ وَقَعَ بَصَرَهُ عَلَى عَوْرَتِي تُمِسَتْ عَيْنَاهُ. He told Ali, whoever's gaze falls upon my nudity, Allah will make him go blind. So they say that the one who washed the Prophet Muhammad was Imam Ali. He was helped by Al-Katham, Usama bin Zayd. They were behind the satir, behind a Kaaba. And they say that when Imam Ali washed the Prophet ﷺ, he was blindfolded. For fear of what? Inadvertently gazing upon the aura of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Right? What? Okay, sorry, I'll come back.
It's okay.
Yeah. Why is it so important to have someone who's trustworthy to wash the deceased? It's not a trick question. Why is that one of the things that they mention in the books of law for someone to be trustworthy? Because you may inadvertently see things, right? It can happen, yeah? You don't gossip to know, I saw such. You may come across things that are going to happen. No two washes are the same, okay? Waste matter, blood or the like. So it's very important that the person who washes his ameen is trustworthy. Sorry, sir.
No, I just wanted to add a point when you said about the Sahabi Ali. Himself, he's never seen his nudity. That's why Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, I want you to wash me, no one else. Is because he never saw his nudity himself.
Alright, okay. Is there any questions thus far?
You know the rights that you mentioned so far. Can you just explain who can do those if it's a brother or sister?
Okay. Ordinarily, when it comes to death-based issues, it's gender specific. Men for men, women for women. Is it lawful for a man to wash a wife and vice versa? Say no, please. Right? So ordinarily no. The only instance where it's allowed is husband and wife, based on the fact that Ali Karamallah washed the body of Fatima Zahra alongside Asma bint Umays. So husband and wife, there's a legal premise for them doing that. Ordinarily it's gender specific. Who from the people, you always have to take into account the family. Okay? That's difficult also in itself. Why? It's an emotional reality. People want to be involved. But it's one of those things, like I said, when they're involved, everyone's what? What do I do? Yeah, there's a shock, there's emotion, and they don't know what to do. Because like I said, you can read this 100 times. right? Until you do it, it doesn't mean that much. Hence, it's a practical demonstration, which inshallah we're going to get you to do as well. Yeah?
At the moment, it's not so much that once you get to the washing stage, but say if someone passes away in hospital and it's a sister.
Yeah.
Obviously, these things are quite time specific in terms of tying the head. Is a mahram man allowed to do even that, or that should be done by a sister?
The mahram of...
Say if the sister passed away, can her son do that?
We're going to say, look, best case scenario, gender-specific family involved, okay? Then we're going to have to work backwards. Things have to be done.
Yeah.
Okay, certain things have to be, some things don't have to be done. For example, I've just been in communication with two people that are going back and forth to Greece, where there's many Muslims which are just left, to be honest with you. Okay, that's like a scenario where we're going to say, no, they shouldn't be washed, they should be left, no. So, what we're speaking about in this demo is best case scenario. In the absence of that, we're going to have to find leeway for things to be done, as long as there's no contravention of sacred law. Okay? For example, like I said, so this fulfills the same function that you're going to have it on the left hand, and that's the hand ordinarily that's going to engage the body. Okay? So this should make up part of your funeral kit. So it says that the washer first pours water over the body, starting at the head, moving towards the feet. He should wear a soft cloth glove on his hand that comes into contact with the body. Again, depending on where you go and what the setup or the scenario is there, some of them have the shower hose. I personally don't like it. I prefer to have buckets that, again, you've got your four-man team where someone's job is to continually fill the bucket with water. How hot should the water be?
Lukewarm.
Lukewarm. Okay, lukewarm to cool. Because again, we don't want heat. Heat ordinarily is not good for the body during this process. Okay? So if you have the shower head, you can use the shower head and just make sure that the whole, and again this is all pre-wash that we're doing, that you wet the body moving from the head down to the feet. I prefer the jugs where you can. When you do the face, you would put your hand slightly. You don't want water to enter into the nostrils and into the mouth for obvious reasons. So if it's difficult to do that, you gently turn the head to the side. So when you're pouring water on the face, it's easily running off. Pouring water all over the body. Okay. Then
pinch the nose between the face. Is that?
You can pinch the nose. You can pinch the nose. What's easy to do is just do that. Yeah. And you can be gentle how you're pouring here. Again, I think with the jug, you have more control over the shower head in relation. Likewise, to the volume of the water, you want to jet if you need to close to the shower head. If you want to pinch your nose, you could. But again, just everything's going to be gentle. Okay. La ilaha illallah.
Just a question, maybe a silly question. Some masajid have hose pipe which they use instead of jet. Is that permissible?
It's permissible to use a hose pipe. Again, just yeah. Permissible. I guess you have level control as to the power of water that will be coming out. Again, one level is a good question that the person's not a car, right? Hence the experience my mother mentioned about, the auntie was smart when they started to clean and the ear started to bleed. No, if you're going to use a hose, then okay, at least you're using it to the pressure of water is in your control in that regard, so that's okay. Okay, so the body hair and skin should be alright. Okay, there's a soap that we use in the Yemen. Again, you're going to see natural substances, and there it's a Tyrian protector. Yeah, so just to pass this around and have a look at it. Hence, again, it's better to use the bucket. So I've got my bucket or buckets full of water. I'm going to take this natural, it's like an abrasive soap, grainy, and I'm going to pour it into the water, and I'm going to make a solution. Okay? I put my glove on, have the ladle, lather this up with this natural soap, and I'm now going to wash the body with this and that natural soap. Why is it grainy? I want it to be slightly abrasive. Why? Making sure any impediments or the like are cleaned. So I start at the head. I'm not going to go over the alternation because I'm going to show you that when we get to the normal, we'll do the same thing here. Yeah? So I'm going to rub here, rub the nose, lift the head, make sure I get under here. I'm going to be doing what? Yeah? What do I do here? My hand's going to come underneath, right? I can move the arm, no problem. Yeah, under the arm. Yeah, ordinarily start with the right. I'm going to abrade the body with this natural soap. Okay, I need more of it. Pour it over here. Make sure that someone's pouring the water for me. I'm not going to go near the private region at this stage. Okay, I will explain that. So I'm going to go right leg ordinarily, tayammum, sunnah to start with the right, then move to the left. Again, lift here and to make sure. Okay, all this we haven't started the wash yet. This is all what? Pre-wash. Okay, so to the body, hair and skin should be lightly abraded using a natural soap. Okay, again, not use those chemical scented things. It's best not to use that. Natural elements ordinarily better for the deceased. Why do we do this? In order to remove any impurities or impediments during the actual washing. Then the washer should pour the assistance of the soap over the entire body now to remove that residue. So when the residue of the soap is there, we're now going to pour water. This is all going to be even started in the washing. This is just to remove what? Yeah, impediments. Okay, blood, congealed blood, dirt, possibly. If they come with plasters, like what happens when you move to a plaster? There's what? There's the remnants, isn't there, of that stickiness. Okay, so that's why we're using that type of soap to remove any of those types of impediments. Okay, now I'm going to ask for a volunteer to if you stand up here. If you can just sit on top of it. Okay, so now if you come on this side. Okay. So I'm sure we've done the abrasive wash to remove impediments. Okay. Now it's also what should one be burning during the wash? Incense before. Okay. More so at this stage. Okay, because we're going to clean an area that we're going to go back to. Alright? How do we clean the area first? Ordinarily there's going to be two people, one on that side, one on this side. Okay? We're going to lift the body roughly at a 30-degree angle. Okay? So I'm going to let you do that. Amazing.
So lift him 30 degrees?
So you put your hand and you have to play dead so that he feels the weight of what it feels like. Okay? So you put your hand up,
Yeah.
Yeah. Always, okay, is that comfortable for you? You can speak, so.
Yeah, me. It's heavy.
Yeah? Okay, put it down again, sorry.
So
Yeah,
two people will do that.
Yeah, two people. But always make sure someone's supporting them. Yeah, always support, because I've been in situations where it's just, you have to remind people to just make sure that the head's all supported. The head's going to use in the first place to make sure that he's comfortable, quote unquote, whilst we're doing this, yeah? So once we've raised the body, you still have to show that. We are now going to, with our glove, you're going to press down on this from here, the abdomen. And this is, I would say, the only time you're going to be vigorous with the body, i.e., you're going to press in a downward motion and move across. And you, like, tense your stomach a little bit, yeah? As it tenses it. So, can you see the pressure there? Yeah, you're going to push down, that's the only time you're going to be somewhat hard or harsh with the body, so you to ensure that the whole time tariq is burning also what? Burning the whole. Now we're pressing down vigorously on the stomach, maybe 3 to 5 times. It's like a massage movement, okay? So from here down to here, right on the outside, I don't need to go underneath here. Okay? Even if I do, I've got my glove on, you can mind it for a second. Yeah? And I'll go under here, but the whole time he's what? He's covered. Yeah? Sorry.
I was going to say, for how long you keep massaging the abdomen?
Like I said, 3 to 5 times.
3 to 5 times.
So I move across there. 1, 2, 3. Depends on
Circumstances.
the circumstances and the dimension of the body. You may feel you need to do that more times. Okay? The core is burning in abundance at this stage. And we press down. Okay? Once we've done that, we revert the body back to the same position, and this is where our loosening of the joints is going to help us again here now. Because now we're going to clean the private parts.
So, sorry.
Yeah.
So when you do that, we expect the bowels to release.
If I was to say it as a percentage, not something maybe waste matter may come out, sometimes it doesn't. Again, age will determine. It's a case-by-case basis. Am I categorically expecting something to exit? No. But what I've done the process to do the best I can to evacuate that. Yeah? In this stage, because I've got before, I may ask them to leave, and I may ask one person to stay with me. All he's doing is holding a bin bag next to me. Right? I've got 5 gloves, socks on my hand. I've got now a soapy solution of water. Once we've pressed down there, I'm going to go under here, and now I'm going to clean. Right? Water is being jetted during the stage by him or another person if I need help, the whole time in the direction where the drain or the like is. I wash, I remove this immediately, throw it into the bag. Place another one on, soap up, wash again. How do I get underneath? Like this. Okay? Whole time he is what? Covered. Yeah? So now I'll move underneath with the same thing, cleanse it, throw it away, cleanse. How many times do you do that?
You've got 5 gloves or 5 times.
I have 5. You do it as many times as you feel the area is cleansed, because you're not going to go back there. Okay? If it's 3 and you're happy, on average I would say 5 or that. But it could be a lot more depending on what's happening in that particular case. Okay? But like I said, I'm not going back there. So I need to make sure that I'm thorough here. Okay? And then the whole time my helper is next to me and I'm just getting rid of that. Yeah? Right, so the deceased upper body must now be lifted in kind of approximately 30 degrees, all the while supporting the head. In this position, using the left hand, apply pressure to the stomach fairly vigorously. Like this, only time you're going to be a little bit harsh with the deceased. Plenty of water should be utilised to flush the area, and incense should be burned from start to finish. Okay? Once the body is returned onto his back, thoroughly cleanse the private area, utilising the cloth on the left hand. Once you cleanse the private area, placing the hand under the cloth covering, and cleanse the number of times required to be sure that the area is fully clean. Right, okay. Then when you've got your helpers, what we would do is, you have cotton buds and you have swabs. Okay? I would put someone at this end. You need 3 people. 1 here, 1 here, and then let's say the head washer over here. Okay? You give them a batch of cotton buds. They are going to dip them in water, and they're going to go under the nails and remove what? Any impurities there, discard. That's what the person here is doing. The person here is doing the hands, dipped it in water, cleaning the nails, dispose, taking another one, cleaning the nails with both hands. The person at the head has got swabs. He's going to be dipping in water, cleaning around the eyes, dispose, new one, clean the ears from any type of waste matter on both sides. And likewise, cleaning the nose. I would say maybe on the nose you have to be a little bit. They won't. When I saw my teacher do it, he's got this wrapped around and he's putting his into the nose to remove waste matter likewise from the nose. So just make sure it's quite flexible. I'm sure you will try it in your own spare time, but to remove any waste matter from there. So one person's doing here, one person's doing the hands, third person is doing what? Eyes, ears, and and the nose.
Is there an order or
No,
in the isolated names?
no, there's no particular order I know of, I should say. Maybe there is, but I know of. It's an impediment. So, likewise, a wudu will not be valid if a woman has nail varnish on, because a woman has a flow over there, which is a part of the part. So, yeah, likewise, if there was nail varnish here, and ordinarily when I teach this course, my wife is with me, who, when we do the practical, she would spend time with the women. I never washed a woman, so obviously those questions are direct. But yeah, nail varnish, likewise, washing the hands, taking this ritual about washing your hand, I'm not sure what that is, but you could wash the hair as well in that regard. But yeah, you have to remove nail varnish. Okay? La ilaha illallah. Right, okay. So we've removed impurities from the nails, the ears, the nose and eyes, or the campfire, the inner eye. Wet swabs and cotton buds should be employed for this, and likewise it should be done gently. Should we do this gently? Utilizing a new cloth glove, ablution should now be performed on the deceased. Both obligatory and recommended actions should be observed when rinsing the mouth. The nose and head should be tilted to the side to avoid water entering. Right? So you do the sunnahs. So again, take your time. Take your time. You're going to take your time because this is his or her last wash. You do the sunnahs, are you going to wash like you normally do wudu? Right hand, left hand. Again, I said water shouldn't enter what?
No, sure.
But we just said here that it can. How do we see our teachers do this? Tilt the head to the side. Allow water just to trickle in to get the asl of the sunnah. Okay, the sunnah is, the sunnah when you ordinarily do is what? Is to inhale slightly to your khayshum, to the ethmoid. Yeah, and expel with the left. But the asl of the sunnah, as long as, if I just said water entering, I've got that sunnah. Here, we want to get the sunnah, this is our best wash for this person, do good by him or her. So allow water to slightly trickle into the nose, it's going to automatically trickle out. Open the mouth slightly, and when you put a little bit of water in for the asl sunnah, what you do is this. You see his cheek? All I do with my thumb is that. And you'll see the water just come out. Are you going to put a lot of water in there? No, you're just going to get the sunnah. So you gently put a little bit of water in, and you see that when you do this, the water just trickles out. Okay?
You don't do it 3 times, just once.
Do it 3, do it 3. Yeah, do it 3. You can do it once for the sunnah, 3 is extra. Yeah?
The forest is once.
Well, it's a sunnah aslan with Khalid is the sharp and the madla. It's a sunnah, the rule of it is a sunnah, it's not an obligatory part of the wudu. But yeah, the thrice is a sunnah. Right, so intention should be able to wash the face, carry this out as if he or she were alive, and supplication. So again, you just do the full what? The full wudu. Okay? How long do you think we've taken to do this thus far? From when we started? You spent way over half an hour. This is before we even start washing. This is the point I'm trying to make to you. Right? We want to send him or her off in the best state possible. We're going to take our time over it. Why do I mention that? There's pressures on people based on prayer times. There's pressures on people based on facilities. There's pressures on people based on what stems thereafter. We have to do this, and there's a view, the hearse has to come, and so on and so forth. Okay? Give yourself time. When we started around 8 in the morning. Ordinarily, traditionally in our communities, they would have the janazah after Dhuhr. So we would make sure I get there by about 7:30. We have started by 8 to make sure we do the best that we can. We have enough time to do the best that we can by this person. It depends where you are, right? So you're just going to have to adjust that according to the experience that you're subject to. But what I'm trying to highlight to you, that we spent a lot of time going over this. We haven't even started the wash yet. It's time consuming.
Do you need to be in a state of ablution yourself when you clean the body?
It's sunnah to be, but you don't have to be. Likewise, in our tradition, it's sunnah for the ghasil, for the one who washes, to take a ghusl after, based on what I talked about the id'af, about being, you're weak, meaning if you feel weak looking, how weak are you going to feel after going through this process? I'm not joking, the amount of times that each and every single one I could sleep for a day after is physically draining, mentally draining. Hence, why is it they say it's a sunnah to take the ghusl after? Because it's munashid, it revives you again. But do you have to? No, you don't have to ghusl isolated. So do the full wudu and supplication upon completing the wudu. Do you, a question, do you recite Quran like whilst you're washing the dead body? Or do you recite litanies, adhkar, when you're washing the dead body?
I've attended one where somebody was present reading the Quran.
That's separate to someone washing.
Separate to somebody washing. Somebody was washing and then they had somebody on the side reading.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an answer. What do you think? Speak.
I'm talking about you, washers.
The washers, those who engage in washing the deceased. So those, if you want to start saying those around, but let's keep it to those washing. Why? You're right,
Because
why?
some of the things you're doing are impure.
Exactly, you're coming into contact with what? Impurities and the like. You're not going to be reciting the Quran and those types. So that's why I'm saying it's not bad manners or it's not the wrong ethic to not recite here. It's better to not recite something in this situation. But what they do say is to recite things, for example, the sunnah, dhikr, remembrance after you make the wudu. Okay? Right, so. Right, okay. Okay, the washer should now intend to perform the purificatory bath of ghusl on the deceased. So, now that we've done all that, now we intend to what? Now we're going to intend to wash the deceased. Even then, the dependable position in law is that the books of law mention that you wash a body ordinarily an odd number of times, 5, 7, up to 9. Okay? And they say that when you should make the intention is on the last wash. Why do you think that is? Why would the books of law say that make the intention on the last wash? It will be its cleanness at that point. So you're totally sure that there's, it's a valid wash. You've removed, if things were to come out, during that period of time, things would have come out ordinarily. Right? So you make the intention on the last wash to emphasize the validity of that wash. But they still say, likewise, make the intention on the first wash. Why? Because you're going to forget as well. Right? There's a lot of things you have to remember. If you people have studied this and now you're the person who's in charge, there's a lot upon you as a responsibility. So to make sure, again, you fulfill the farm, intend to wash al-ghusl al-mayyit. I intend the farm of the ghusl for the deceased. So, do you have your hand up? Okay. So the washer should now attempt to perform the purificatory bath on the deceased. He should commence with the head and hair, utilizing the admixture of water and natural soap. The Prophet Hadith mentioned this, sidr. This is the item that I have a batch that I get from abroad. I don't know if it's available here. So I'm not saying it's not available. I just don't know. I just get the job lot from abroad and keep it in our storage and use that. But pass it around. That's the solution that you're going to mix into your bucket. You don't have it, use natural soap. Right? It's not obligatory to use it, but
that seems the hand.
no. Okay, so hence again, when I show you items like the make sure you give it back.
Come back here.
Yeah,
Come back.
There's two of them.
Yeah. With these type of substances, how am I going to do this with the shower head? You can't, can you? Or you have to look on a glove. No, so hence, if I have these, I can make the solutions. Right, the soapy solutions. That's why I prefer to use the bucket. With the sidr like the taker, I can make a solution to wash. With the shower head, I can't really use it. It makes something redundant. So I would just have my and just maybe lather it up with some soap. Yeah, get some soap, lather up, and use it, and just do it like that. If that's what you have, you don't have these items available to you, no problem. Okay, so the washer should now attempt to perform the purificatory bath on the deceased. He should commence with the head and hair, utilizing the admixture of water and natural soap, followed by washing the right hand up to and including the shoulder. Then after he washes the right side of the torso, moving towards the right foot. This should be repeated on the left side. Okay, so in relation to washing, it slightly differs to your normal ghusl. Well, the sunnah of doing a normal ghusl is what? To wash the front right, back right, front left, back left. When you wash the deceased, it's sunnah to wash the front right completely, front left, then the back back right and the back left, because we don't want to keep what? Moving the body. Okay? Right. And can you come up here? Okay, so these two hypothetically are helping me. He's got the solution here. I'm going to you just stand there for a second. I'll bring it in. We're going to, like we said, we've made our solution. We made intention now to wash the deceased, starting with the head, hair, making sure we're going to get the ears behind the ears, lift the head up to make sure we get here. We're going to do what? Right shoulder, arm here, down to there. Come around this side and do the left. If I feel, I'd use on average, because I'm not going backward to the private area, I would use a sock per wash. Okay, if I feel I need to use more, I use more. So right all the way down, left all the way down. Okay, how now are we going to ensure we're going to do the back again with jihad's aura and dignity being maintained? Okay, so I've done the front right, front left. How do I get here making sure, okay? If you two come this side, sorry. Okay. You place his right foot over his left, so you can move that or place that. So you relax behind it. You know, the one side is one actually fell asleep on the table. I'm a little bit worried because Jihad is responding a bit slower now every time we ask him a question. Sorry, can you come around here? Yes, so stay around here. Your hand goes under the neck, the right hand goes under the neck. Left hand on the shoulder. Yours is one hand on his hip, I'll use the right hand. Yeah, one hand on his ankle. Okay? I've got someone here, again, helping with water. I've got my Sophie solution here. And when I'm ready, I say, okay, I'll turn the body towards you. Turn it towards you.
By what degree?
Just tilt it upwards towards you. Yeah? Make sure that some people, again, they do the wrong foot, turn around, and it causes, again, awkwardness. Yeah? They only move when I'm ready. The whole time he's what?
Covered.
He's covered. He's having my leg up, and I start in a watch. Here, you can go down, all the way down. If I want to go back to the very thing, I can raise this up and do this. Then we swap. Swap.
Including his private parts.
No. The private parts we wash thoroughly. We just have to ensure that, and there's a lot of water. Water will flow in that region again whilst we're doing the wash. We don't go back to the private parts again. So now it's just the other way around. So you tell me what to do.
So put his left over his right.
Exactly. Yeah. One hand goes left. That's right. One hand on the hip, one on the shoulder, one on the hip, one there. When I'm ready, I say turn. And again, I'm going to now what? Wash here, all the way down. When I'm good and ready, and I say place him back. Okay? So that is classed as one wash. Okay? Well, obviously, we're going over it quickly. It's going to take time. This is just a demonstration of so what's really important is you get the alternation right. So again, from the moment Jihad passed away, have we seen anything of his aura? No. Isn't it, yeah? And it's really, I'm going to keep coming back to this point over and over and over again. It's really important to maintain the dignity of someone who's passed away. We're going to wash him thoroughly, but we're not going to see his aura. Okay? There's just one.
For the woman, they're going to be covered here.
For the woman, it's up to them.
Yeah. And the arms can't come up.
From my understanding, there's a loose shirt that the woman has. So our arms come through.
Okay.
Like I said, I've never done it when I was here. But there's like this loose. The problem was washing the shirt as well, where the arms can come through. So if I'm raising here, as long as it's made under the neck, it's allowed to be shown what appears when people ordinarily work: the head, the neck, arms up to the elbows, and the feet up to the ankles. Yeah. It's loose enough for me to get my hand in through the right position on, right? So, the books of law are going to go into detail what are the different methods you can do. Okay? What I prefer to do is to do, if I have time, 3 washes just as we showed you with the sidr. That's your soap. Right? Then they call it the muzila, the water wash, the clean water washes, 3. And then the last one you're going to do is with camphor. Okay, there's a thing called camphor, which it is available in the UK. You would take a block of this off, maybe put it into a bag, break it up until it's a fine powder, then that's going to go into your last bucket of clean water. So we've gone through the whole process 6 times, 3 with sidr, 3 with clean water, so ensuring that the soap is fully removed, and the last one with camphor. Camphor. It's actually not scented, it's got a scent to it, it's more like an embalming type of matter. Almost like it's got like a menthol scent to it. Okay? And again, that's mentioned as in sunnah. Yeah. So to do the last wash with camphor in the same method that we've done. Right? That's your point number 4, point number 3, using an admixture of camphor and clean water wash to receive my final time. Okay? Time may dictate what? That you're going to do it 3 times, 5 times. Again, you're just going to have to look at the situation that you are in. Once we've washed the body and we're happy, okay, what do we do now? Right. This is obviously going to be what? A drench. So we would have a secondary cloth where just don't pretend that this is the secondary cloth. We need to have if we want. So I'm here. You get the other side. This is going to be bigger. We hold this above this because we don't want this to get wet as a cloth. And then this is going to be what? Removed. Okay? Imagine this to be the dry cloth that we've placed back onto it, back onto it. And now again you're going to what? Just dry the body down. Same way of alternating the body from left to right. You've used your towel and now you're ready to shroud once he or she has been patted dry. 7, you would wash it and shroud the very alongside with the deceased. Don't pluck gold teeth. I don't know why that would. I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Even like dentures or
dentures which come out, that's separate.
Rings and stuff you cut out,
Rings. Yeah, you can remove, but if I'm assuming gold teeth aren't pull out gold teeth, after they're fixed. Yeah, you wouldn't.
No.
You wouldn't pull
If
out.
you're not allowed to wear gold, how come you can have gold teeth? That's what I don't understand.
No,
It's thrown away. You can't.
It's-
Even a wedding ring,
Yeah.
it has to be silver, not gold.
Yeah, the sunnah of men is to wear, so it's haram for them to wear gold. There's instances where gold is allowed. There was a companion who had his nose severed on the battlefield, and because of the purity of the elements of gold, it doesn't cause him a reaction. So he had a nose that was made of gold. Gold teeth, if it's done for a reason, for example, because of the element, the purity of the element in comparison to something, they make it lawful. But ordinarily, absolutely right, we can't wear bling.
Yeah.
Right, you're not allowed to wear gold for the sake of wearing gold. If there's a reason for it, sacred law permits it. That is a knowing you're right, it can't be done.
What do this as most of us want this as a profession, so practically if we need to wash our relatives when we go to a funeral centre, would we have to take our own sidr and soap, or would they have it available? What happened in Woking, for example?
So, If I do it in Woking, we tend to have everything there available to be watched. If we do it elsewhere,
Shah Jahan.
if we do it elsewhere, we would either send a list to people to see if they can get it, or if they want to purchase it, it's ready before that we can bring with us, then we would provide that. Again, here, just to reiterate, we're speaking about the optimal method. I've been in situations where we have had anything like run out of stock, so we do what you can to the best that you can by the deceased. It could mean natural soaps of the life and no latex gloves and so on and so forth. The point about we're not likely to do it as a regular basis is true, but I still think knowledge is something which has to be applied. So offer yourselves to do this with myself. It's a very, like I said, a very sobering, awakening experience for someone just to be involved with that, with the permission of the person who's in charge of watching the family with the life, with the intention that we learn this as a sunnah to revive it, inshallah.
You can repeat it. You know, you're saying you have kids. So, do you have kits that are like ready-made pack that you order from you?
We don't have kits just to be kind of like sold for the sake of selling. We have kits that, there's one kit I use for educational purposes, and we have two at any given time so that they're ready for us to take if I have to go to different localities to do it. We can give you the list, or I think we haven't even had the list.
Because you're involved in it,
Yeah.
is it possible, it would make it easier for me just to buy it. Because you know exactly what's in the list.
What we're going to do is, Charlotte, then we're going to have a list like of like a pack, and some of the brothers here have tried to put their own packs together. Shaykh Faiz, he doesn't necessarily like sell them or anything, because like some of the items we can't get in the UK. And so even we've tried to get it from abroad, and some of the things are a little bit difficult, but we'll just have a list, and most of the things, you know, we can resource them, or us can also.
There is a company that we've used in the past, and they've come and done some demonstration with us. It's called Shroud.com. They do the actual coffin, the whole kit itself, including all the materials that the Shaykh showed us today. So that is Shroud.com. It's about, depending on the size, and if they're different ladies, they're different men, small, medium, large, it's about £20, £25.
Just as a norm, because mashallah, we come to this community here, like we have to take range of that, and you can prepare the kits. We can obviously meet the last wise out to speak, to prepare them, so that they're available to you as a community here. Probably easier than sourcing them from outside.
We should try and get a kit for them all. One of the questions for the sisters is, how would it work if a woman is expecting, she's pregnant, and she passes away? What's the situation there? They're asking, does the baby get removed? Placenta issues? How strongly does one clean the stomach, for example? So mother and baby have both passed.
Yeah, so in this situation, when the body comes to you, the hospital is going to give you a body with the mother being passed away and the child being alive, or the possibility of the child being alive. So the child as well, to extract the child from the mother, and then you get the mother. If they both passed away, they both buried together, you don't extract the child, you would do the best that you can. What you have to be somewhat concerned with is the emission of fluids and the like. So if fluid is intermittently exiting, ordinarily, like we said about heat and coldness will ebb the flow of that flow. Likewise, it will be the same for the wounds of the like. Sometimes you're going to come across a body that's wounded. Like I said, I will mention about post-mortem. One thing I think as a community that we need to really look into, and it's been done in other communities, and the Jewish community also quite proactive in this regard, is in North London purchased a scanner which deals with 90% or can recognise 90% of the causes of death, so that there's no invasive procedure. There's nothing more upsetting than someone seeing their father with the cranium stitched up like Frankenstein, just the chest and the side of the leg. It's a very difficult thing for them to go through, knowing that we don't want we found a company we can actually hire this machine. I think it's about £500 for a mobile that brings so they can scan the body to try and circumvent the post-mortem taking place. It picks up approximately 90% of the causes of death. And it's sad that I think as communities, Muslim communities, we haven't really taken this up. And, until it faces us, or someone beloved to us becomes a reality, in the absence of that, like we spoke about at the beginning, death is something we don't really pay no mind. So, to circumvent that invasive procedure, whether it's the cranium cut open, and it's very harsh stitching on the head, on the chest. Why do I mention that? That's going to seep blood. So we need to now, make cold running water to stop that blood. It applies in the same instance to a pregnant woman the child's very well said.
Well, just to let you know what the Sheikh's talking in regards to the coroners. Now, recently there was a High Court decision because of the scenario with a certain Jewish community, that because of the process they follow very similar to us, without the post-mortems, that it has now been decided that 98% of the time that the coroners will accept the CT scans. They are privately available at the moment, and there are chaplains and hospitals like Unistown, like Greenwich, that we can't enforce the coroners to share the decisions in using them, but it has now shown that they're taking a leading position in actually favourable medical officers as well. So don't go for the first option within hospitals for postmortems, question them, and then obviously follow through with the right people. And I'll give you the context to whether they're there so that everyone is aware that if anybody wants to use them services, they are available. And they vary from £500 to £800, and these machines are available 7 days a week in some places as well.
So the question was about hair growth. We did quite a lot of long nails and the like. It's lawful to remove nails and hair. If one does remove them, they'll be buried with the deceased. The only time you wouldn't do that is someone passed away in the state of ihram. They're on our Hajj, and they die in the state of ihram, then we wouldn't cut nails nor remove hair. So if someone were to do that, for example, if the nails are unseemingly long, and we would have to cut those nails off. If the hair was accessible, like remove the hair, but they have to be buried likewise with the deceased. So just give me a few minutes. I'm just going to show the shrouding, and then what I want to do is break this up into a few groups and then actually practice what we've done. If you just give me a few minutes.
There's no added sugar.
Well, there's sugar. You can see the sugar and you eat it. That's why you have something. It's four.
stay.
Get up.
Okay, so just to inshallah conclude, we're not going to spend too long on this section here. I'm sure our Asif can tell us more, that when if people tend to have like an arrangement with an Islamic funeral organisation, when they give you the coffin, they tend to have like a pre-prepared shroud in the coffin. So once we would have cleansed or finished cleaning the deceased, and we said that we removed the wet cloth whilst covering up with a dry cloth, used the towel to pat them down, like again burn before and the light during that process, and then dry. Then we would, if you have the luxury of another place, some people we may do on the floor in certain mosques, is to do the shrouding. And so, like I said, certain organisations, when they do the coffin as a pre-prepared shroud, and I don't prefer it personally, because I think certain areas aren't secured well. I mean, certain areas have to be secured now when we're shrouding. So what we would do for a man, we would have 3 shrouds. If we were to do it on a table on the floor, you would make these strips. I want to show you how they secure the body. You would have 3 on the floor first, one at the level of the shoulders, one underneath where the waist is, and one underneath the ankles. You place the largest, there would be 3 shrouds for a man, 2 for a woman, as well as a head cover, a shirt and wrap. But we're speaking about men here for our purposes of demonstration. So you put your 3 strips down over there, you put the largest shroud first. The name of this, it evades me, but they mention this in the books of law, that if you have fragrance, you apply it to the shroud. Right? And then likewise, what's this in Arabic? Hanut, Hanut. It looks like potpourri, yeah? It's called Hanut, it's mentioned in the books of law. So you apply it to the shroud, sprinkle this onto the shroud, then you put the second shroud, which is slightly smaller than the large one you place down first. Likewise, there's strips in between, 3 strips. Then you put the smallest shroud, which is going to be the first shroud which comes into contact with the body, likewise with 3 strips in the same position. And likewise, you've been sprinkling hanut and idr in between each of the strips. On the last strip, what you do, you create a, this is Ali, by the way, according to my slide. Ali to me is a believer, for him I know Ali, and for him. You have a T shape here, with this going across where the hips are going to be, and with this going across in between the legs. Likewise, I have another here, we put a strip underneath the cotton. Okay? So when that's ready, and ordinarily what I tend to do again, because of the constraints of time, is that I'll put 2 people to do that towards the beginning whilst we're waiting in a different area. So it's ready for you once the person has been finished up with the wash. So when you bring the individual, you're going to place him here with his hips in line with this T shape. Okay? He's still, remember, covered. Okay? You would gently, this is what I'm doing with Ali, not Jihad, you gently separate the legs, and then this would come in between. Okay? This would then fold over so it's secured, and you make sure that it's tight. Remember, the whole time we ensure that the individual's aura is covered. So you put this in between the legs, lift it over, lift either side so it's secured around the waist, and make sure that you pack it in tight. Right? Your strips are already pre-prepared strips underneath, and then you tie that down. Is that clear? Okay, so you've done that for that area here. There's different ways of placing the body into the grave. The way that we were taught in the Yemen, it's fine for the hands to the side, but we were taught to put the body into the prayer position. So the right hand goes on the left wrist. Yeah. Likewise, you have cotton like this, and you secure the cotton around. You have extra strips to secure the arms in that position. Yeah. We would place cotton into the nose and into the ears also. The reason it's into that, again, in respect to honor of the body, that when the body is placed into the grave, insects and the like crawling around, so they secure those two areas there. Likewise, you're securing it. Make it look nice, don't leave anything hanging out, because family now are going to come and see the deceased. So that again, there's no seepage or the like that happens from those orifices also. Okay? So, remember, 3 strips in those areas, bigger shroud. Idr, hand. Second middle-sized strip, 3 strips again on top of that. Second middle-sized shroud on top of that. 3 strips again in the same position. Third shroud, just slightly smaller. One thing I really would emphasize here is how many times have I been to a different locality where they've got the equipment, but the shroud is not wide enough to envelop the body. It's a headache. You have to try and get it. Again, it's not nice for the family and the like. Make sure, obviously, the width of the shroud depends on whether it's a child or it just depends, doesn't it, on the size of the individual. Hence, when I'm involved with the wash, I've got 2 of my helpers, and I tell them to go and organise the shrouding. I think I'll make an assumption that the person starts to size themselves up and do it properly. Not that you've got just 3 strips and they're not wide enough to envelop around the deceased. Okay? Once you've done that and you've applied these items to the shroud, and you've made your T-shape with this cotton goes in between the legs, around the waist, and again it's packed tight. Okay? Let me ask you a question. At this stage, you bring the body here, and now something exits. Can it happen? Yes. Has it happened? Yes. Right? What do? Leave it. Yeah? That. Books of law say you have to wash that area. Because it's invalidated, seepage invalidates a ghusl. Okay? So you would have to, hence why, take your time, make sure we do all of the process that we spoke about. Right? If you allow it to seep, and you've buried it's invalidated the ghusl, which is not put that person to a good state, the onus of the fardiyah, the obligatory nature of the wash, is not upon the deceased, it's upon who? It's upon us, isn't it? It's upon the community. So the sin doesn't lie with him or her, it's going to lie with yourself. That's your responsibility. I also say to make mention of what? The pressure you may have on a mosque or a community or a group to hasten this, yeah? You're in charge here. Right? The onus is upon you to make sure that you're giving him his send-off. If they have to wait, if things have to, there was a wash that I did in a specific locality where the individual had been in hospital for a long time, and there was waste matter, it took a long time for that waste matter to cease coming out. And there was a lot of pressure that we need to hurry this up, because I said, look, I'll do the best I can, but at one level, inwardly I don't care, because he's under his responsibility. Right? When you're involved, it's your ones going to stand before Allah and answer for your own actions. And it means it being delayed, it has to be delayed, because here we're speaking about what? Validity. I'm not saying that if I've got the option of doing 7 washes, or 5, or 3, and there's time constraint, I'm saying, no, we're going to do 7. No, of course you're going to take that into account, because you're not bound to do 7 washes. But when there's something where validity anchors upon it, now that's your sin, quote unquote. So if seepage happens, you have to go back and wash that area, and then remove that, wash it, replace it, and bring it back again. Bring it on back again. Sorry. Hence the whole thing I was speaking about having a team of people dedicated to this job. So they know the process, they know who to communicate, they know how to. This is eternal guidance, isn't it? Right? This is therefore to come in and try and clarify that what needs to be done. Communication needs to take place. People need to know. We're blessed that we have very good relations with the coroner's office to release certification. There's slips that need to be released to verify bury the body. We have very good relations with the burial ground, who have been more than accommodating for us as a community to bury later than the ordinary hours. It takes work for us to do that in our community. Those relationships don't come out of a vacuum. Things have to, this is the onus of, especially people who have positions of authority in this community. It's upon them to do these things. The family of the deceased should be the least burdened with this. Right? It should be those who know the process should really, hence the whole purpose of khidmah, offering yourself as a service to people to ensure that happens. Okay? Where was I?
Sorry, when you're packing the first
Area,
are you tying it there or are you just packing it as tight?
Yeah, I didn't do it because I forgot to. See this strip I've got underneath here?
Yeah.
I will place the same under there. So when I put that across, now I just lift this up and then secure it, yeah? Secure it with the nose and the ears likewise, and secure the hand. One of the things which, sorry, I'm turning myself again. One of the things that we've learned in sacred law that you're not allowed to do, which is a customary practice primarily amongst our people, is to bury the deceased with like Quran and the like. Okay, it's not lawful to do that. Why? When the body decomposes and blood and matter starts to mix now, and someone's placed Quran that no, you can't do it. It's unlawful for you to do that, knowing the outcome of what's going to happen. As a practice, people may write with either the shahada or the like because it's going to evaporate. But can I place pieces of Quran or things with the deceased? No, there's nothing. The deceased is tahir, it's pure in our school. We're not saying that it's impure, but what happens with the process of decomposition is now there's an admixture of that. So here we wouldn't do that. Okay? Sorry.
Just remember you've got this secretion, just clean that area.
That area, yeah. The books of law says you clean the area, you don't have to wash the whole body.
When do you stop? Because obviously secretions can happen up until that person is put into the ground. So when would you not go back to start cleaning once you've fully shrouded the body? Or you could fully shroud the body, get out.
It's a very good question. So you could fully shroud the body. Now, are we saying that once we've shrouded there's no secretion? Absolutely. We don't know that. But what you have to wash is where you have certainty. So if you see something secreting, now you have certainty, now you're bound to do something. But am I saying that after I've secured everything there's going to be no secretion? No, I'm not saying that. Could it happen? Of course it could happen. But do I have full knowledge that it has happened? No. Hence, what do they tend to do? Again, taking into account the emotional state of the family, the prayer and burial should be as close together as possible. So you're moving from one to the next. Right? So that's going to limit the chance of hours between, for example, washing and prayer and burial for something to come out. What's also done as a practice, this is like I was involved with this in Yemen, that those who wash the deceased and shroud the deceased would go make wudu, put on a fresh set of clothes, and then pray a janazah, just them, with the deceased. Why? It's more likely to be an absolutely valid prayer there, and less likely that the secretion to happen in that time. So that's done as a practice as well. Again, we're concerned, all this is our concern for who? Him or her. Okay? So if I have certainty that something's come out, then I've got to do what I need to do. If there's a chance of it happening, then there's a chance of it happening. As long as I'm not certain that it's happened.
One of the sisters asking, what happens to a burnt body? Might be recovered from a fire or the like, or a horrific accident or something like that.
Yeah, you do the best that you can, in essence. It's the same situation we spoke about our friends who are now in Greece right now, but if it's a burnt body, you do the best that you can. Some of the fuqaha say that that tayammum will suffice, because it's a ritual act over the deceased, and then do what you can. There was sadly a while back, there was when someone at our community, he jumped in a train from suicide. So we had a box, what was left, so you just do the best that you can in that situation. I'll make it easy for you. Okay, so we've secured that, yeah. Now I have a live person here, please. Do you have a lead particular person? If you want to come up with any more than welcome, or I'll let you.
Does anyone want to volunteer?
Likewise, when I did this last time, I needed to choose a different person.
I'll take one for the team.
Right. Preferably a smaller person, because I don't know if this is wide. I think you're actually alright, but I'm not sure it's wide enough to go.
We're trying to lift a bit of weight.
I wish I could say that. Okay, so just the text in front, just to go over it very, very briefly. Legally, the minimum shrouding is a shroud that will cover the body. The optimal for a male is to use 3 separate shrouds, whereas for a female, it is an upper garment, a head cover wrapped in 2 shrouds. 3 strips should be laid down, as we spoke about, the largest with the itter, and then again, likewise in the same order that we mentioned. The T-shape was mentioned to you to secure around the waistline. You place the deceased upon the pre-prepared shrouds, placing the waistline in line with the cotton roll, fold the T in the manner in which we said, placing the hands underneath the covering. So we said that the body is covered whilst securing that area. We'll place small pieces of cotton in the nostrils and the ears, place the right hand over the left of the deceased just as they were in the praying position. Wrap cotton around the hands to secure with a cotton strip. So what we need to know is that once he's in that prayer position and we've secured that area, and hypothetically he's still what? He's still covered. When you wrap him or her up, you're like a sweet. It's tight, isn't it? Yeah? You want to make sure that it's tight. So, yeah, push the left first, and the right goes on the left. So you would bring this around here. Make sure that this is nice and tight. I keep this loose and then I'm going to watch. Remove whether it's a cloth or a towel that's covering him or her. Then you bring it round. It's not one person doing this, you have others, but I'm just showing for the sake here of this demonstration. My pre-prepared wad strips already here. There's a lot of photography now. When you're in the shroud, exactly, yeah. You're 6 minutes of fame around the corner. So yeah, you make this tight, okay? Make sure that it's tight. You would tie this, I'm not going to do it into a knot because you want to loosen it. You tie it into a knot. What you can do also with this is just slip it around so again it looks nice and neat. Yeah? You do the same thing here. And then put this out of the way. You don't obviously move that out, but just move it out of the way so it looks nice. And again here, because it's narrower, you're going to wrap this round.
Both, but you normally just tie a knot.
I'll just tie a knot and then I cut it. Because I'll do it, I don't try and put it on. Wow. It gives a nice bit of nice. So yeah, I'm tying a bow, ordinarily I'll tie a knot. And when I've tied the knot, I just cut. And then move it around so it's nice when the family come to see. And then you do the same with the other two. With the last one, what they tend to do what they tend to abroad is that they cover the face, tie it up, then it's moved to the area of prayer. From prayer have a school, it's wajib, out of obligation, that here we have what's called a shaq in the UK, a straight grave. There's a thing called a lahad, where there's like an enclave. You can't really do that here because of the constitution of the earth. It will implode. Right? So there's a straight grave that we place head first in. We would take something like this, say the qibla is there, to make sure that the chest is facing the qibla. You can place something likewise under the head. Here, but what we want to do is, you want the face to be touching the earth. Okay? If it's difficult, rigor mortis and the like, you can grab earth, rub it onto the cheek, and with three shrouds like that. So when we cover the head, we do the side, we remove the face covering on burial. Yeah.
So, no, you're saying 3 shrouds, so the big one,
Yeah.
and then is it 2 small ones?
Yeah, no. The big one is the one.
One.
Yeah, the final one. Yeah.
And then the smaller ones, what are they covering different parts of the body?
No, it's the same, but it's just slightly smaller. Yeah. So.
You do the same thing.
Same process, yeah. So the big one is the one touching the surface. The one which is slightly smaller than that is on top of it, and the one which is slightly smaller than that is on top of it. So the first one, which envelops the body, is a smaller one, then the medium one, then the large one. The large one, like I said, it's like that hole, it's like wrapped up here. We've secured the private area, the hands are secured in that position, we place cotton in the nose and in the ears. In between shroud was what? Was the ear and the hand follows, yeah? Okay. So, like I said, I'm not going to do all 3, but in essence you get the gist in relation to this. Is there any questions?
So just the strips you mentioned, is that just you only have one set of 3 strips which you tie up?
No. Between the shroud, so you've got 9. You've got 9 strips, and actually 10 because there's one under the cotton as well. So when I put the T-roll cotton, likewise I've got a strip underneath there, so when I secure the area, it's ready to tie up. Okay? It's going to be layered. Shroud your deceased in white. So as a sunnah, it's sunnah to shroud in white. As long as the aura is covered and it's clean, then it could be any colour. Alhamdulillah, we don't have that issue here. We have plenty of white shroud material available. But yeah, if in the absence of, there's no there's a principle of difficulty in genesis. So there's difficulty as a norm, it will be a facilitation for ease. Right, so in the last, 20 minutes to half an hour, we'll just break it up into groups. We're not going to practice the shroud, but we want to practice the wash. So I'll come round, but what you can do is that someone can maybe read or have that to check your memory. It's a lot to take in, I know, but you need to, and the person, what I realize is the person who's playing the deceased, don't help in movement. I want you to know what it feels like to move the body around. Is that okay?
Does anyone object to me filming them?
It is difficult. It's difficult. You are physically like
Do it now.
Because after that will be...
Well, the most difficult part of moving the body is to move the body from the washer suite to where you're in the shower. You need, 5, 6 people around. For the women, I think it's even more difficult, but it's just something we have to do. In Woking, we've got one of the most historic burial grounds in the UK, Woodward Cemetery. We've got Mardu Pictou, Howard Mardu Pictou, and the Wilson Valley, William, Muslim soldiers, Turkish soldiers, Indian soldiers from World War I, II are buried there. It's still up and down. We have a plot there. You have the plot for 99 years. Bodies decay at different rates according to according to the constitution of the earth. So, for example, in Mecca, it takes approximately a decade and a bit for the body to fully decompose. In different areas, it's different depending on the constitution of the earth. So, Islamically, a grave can be reused once the body is decomposed.
So the bones.
Taphonomy speaks about how the earth eats up. So yeah, depending on certain man's bones, they will decay.
So
Once the body has fully decayed, bar the coccyx, it's allowed to be reused as a grave. That's what's happened historically. If you think about from the time of Adam alayhi salam to our time, if burial grounds were not reused, there would be no place to bury anyone ever. So once the body is fully decomposed, you can reuse that ground to rebury a body. In relation to what was the other thing you said a lot. You asked me, is it allowed? Of course it's allowed. It's allowed for people who offer that service to make a living off of that service. As a khidmah, there's many things which are permitted to do. The only time Islam tends to engage when we have ihtikar, monopolies, and other things, that's ordinarily not allowed to monopolize a product or a service or the like. Outside of that, to set up something for people to earn a living or something, a khidmah to a community, there's no barrier to do it.
So on the cemetery out there at the moment who are doing pre-purchase, because the land shortage is so much that there isn't council cemeteries, there's no, is only at need. The only place that we're doing, because we've got 55 acres, is because we've got the space at the moment. A lot of the muftis have given us the okay to do double burials and single burials, pre-purchase sales, to book in advance. The cemetery that the gentleman was talking about is the Croydon Cemetery, which is the non-Muslim cemetery that some muftis are given the ijazah because there's nothing else available, yeah, and the community have got no choice but to take it there. But if there is something available that is a Muslim cemetery, which is half an hour further away, then that's the choice of the family to decide on whether they want to do that.
If I knew that was the case, I would do what I need to probably not bury my relative or family there.
Yeah.
I have the option of going further afield. Like I said, I know that it's 100
Garden
years.
Peace is another one cemetery which is
So-
nearly full in Hayman.
So if you have the option, if that's the case, then yeah, people who have done it, either unknowingly or the like, I guess they're subject to law, they have no choice in the matter. They're just going to have to...
This is what
Cemeteries, even with Garden of Peace, it's one generation, which is 50 years. Yeah, with this cemetery, we give 50-year lease, but you can buy additional lease up to 99 years, or in perpetuity, meaning forever. But again, it comes with cost. If you want to buy some land, like a family garden we sell for £100,000 for 10 families, yeah, that's yours forever. Because you can then put your 20 family members in that plot of land forever. But it depends how much you want to pay and what you want to do.
You can't be buried in the same grave unless there's a dire need or necessity, like happened during war and the like. In the same plot for a husband and a wife, because there's no issue being buried in the same plot, separate graves. They say that the grave should be qamatan wa basta, meaning if concomitant to the size of the individual, if his arms were stretched up, that's the depth of a grave. So a child will obviously be not as deep as an adult, and an adult according to their size. If their hands were outstretched, that should ordinarily be the depth of the grave. That's what's mentioned in the books of law.
Two questions. So just to confirm, with women, for example, makeup, nail polish, that can be taken off.
Nail polish has to
Should be taken off, yeah.
Not should, it has to be. For the validity of the water to flow over the entire body. If we put it down to impediment, there can't be impediments between the body and the water, whether it's nail polish, whether it's a plaster, or the like. So it has to be removed for it to be a valid wash. Makeup likewise would be an impediment.
Because some, I think, when you are understanding that once a person has passed away and they have nail polish on, you're not allowed to take it. But it has to be taken.
It has to be.
Fine, okay. And then, similar to the situation, for example, in Greece, people that are drowned, the fact that they've got washed up, the sea itself is not doing what's it called, they have to go through that process. Okay. And what about, inshallah, we don't get into the situation, but for example, in war, things like mass graves, and they just pile them in, and I mean,
translation of the Quran verse, لا تحسب الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أموات. Don't count those who pass away in God's cause as dead. بل هم أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. They are alive, being sustained by their Lord. So the martyr proper is not washed, nor is he prayed over, but he is shrouded and he is buried. In the instance where there's lack of land, in what the grounds we have in lack of water, 2 Muslims being buried in the same grave. Ordinarily it's not allowed, and we keep obviously genders separate. In people being buried in a mass grave based on like, if again the onus, Islam as a norm is not a passive reality. The word Islam, right? We're not called Salim, are we? We're called Muslim. Muslim, for those who know Arabic, fourth form. Aslam, Yuslim for a Muslim. It's someone who has to bring about a state of peace. That's what a Muslim is. Hence, it's not something you can be an observer in. If those situations are happening, and there are people from amongst the Muslim community who could have done something about it, always falls upon them. There's no fault on those people who are buried in mass graves. And inshallah, their cases with their generous Lord. So if it happens as an exception where we don't have the ability to do something, that's a separate issue. But if those in and around that situation, or that we have the ability and don't do something, then the onus falls upon them. But if it's happened as a casualty of war, we can't. We just have to look forward to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what we have to do is, when we have something within our capability of doing something, or we remain silent and do anything, now the problem lies on us. Wallahu a'lam.
What we want to do is trying to get into groups now. Maybe if we can.
Do you want to do that?
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
fine.
is that all right? Yeah, sure.
5 minutes. Just and then maybe Margaret is
26 minutes.
Most of the brothers I do know here, so I've got for brother Hassan to give me the opportunity to speak 5 minutes to be value in terms of others. And obviously the community, thank you for inviting us. Much like it's been a very enjoyable training session that the Shaykh has delivered, which I'm hoping that obviously we can continue also doing different areas as well. We have done some already at the actual site, the Sandera site, where we've actually shown the graves, what the grave does look like, what the ship grave looks like, and the method of process of that. So inshallah, you're invited to next time down there. I'm not going to take too much of your time, just a quick debrief for some of the questions that already was answered. Alhamdulillah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we had an issue in Croydon with regards to burial space. That was ongoing, and Croydon Mosque was leading on projects, and so other groups, especially the Muslim Association of Croydon, Brother Tompkins here and Brother Simpson, were looking into different sites. For the 10 years, over 10 years, we couldn't get a site big enough to duplicate something that Haynor done. Those of you who've been to Haynor, mashallah, one of the biggest Muslim cemeteries that are run purely by Muslims and done a superb job in what they've actually done. My auntie's buried there, and I'm sure a lot of the family members. That place got filled up so quickly that they were surprised themselves. It was meant to be for 2 generations, and within the last 10 years, they're coming up to the last few years, a year left before it's all full up. They are looking for another site a mile and a half up the road, which was a pet cemetery within another 5 acres. But I was actually approached for this project by a non-Muslim company who actually purchased this land, because the problem we were having, we couldn't raise enough funds to actually purchase land. It's over £30 million. And this company already bought this land and then realised that 80% of the non-Muslims cremate. So the business for them was to join in something with the Muslims, because we buried everybody. So we needed them, they needed us. So it came to a stage where they approached me to do a development project for them from scratch. And alhamdulillah, from 2 years ago to now, I was supposed to be there for 3 months. They told me to extend my stay there to finish it off. I'm still there at the moment, still finishing, putting more finishing touches to the project. We've buried over 200 children, adults from 100 years to 12 weeks, prematures. The place that we've got is 6 acres, but we've sold over 4,000 plots already. And when I say 4,000 plots, these are individual plots where families have bought beforehand, or where organisations like the local mosques, Qureshi Mosque, Siddiqat Mosque, Lucian looking into it. What I've managed to do in the last 2 years is to actually visit as many mosques as possible and told them that where we are located and what we have achieved. And although we've still got a lot to achieve, all our burials there are as per Sunnah. The Shaykh mentioning earlier on is the Shaykh method. There's 2 methods in Islam, the Lahab and the Shaykh. Our grave is within the grave. We don't just go straight down. We cut another narrow bit, and we don't practice at an angle, we put them flat. So in that way, we go 6'6". We bury the first one, and obviously I'm not a learned person myself, so we have got a Sharia board that we took on board, and we took their advice on whether we should do double burials. And what they came back to us once they looked at it, it took some time before they came to an agreement, and they said because of where we are, and because the land is running out so fast in London, and the Muslim population is growing, they gave us the go-ahead to do double burials. Now what a double burial means is that the way we've been given the okay to go ahead is that the first, it's a family burial only, so it's a blood relative only, in other words, husband, wife, brother, sister. You bury the first one at 6'6", you plank it off, and the second one goes directly on top, and the first one doesn't get disturbed. The clay that we've got in our park here is clay, it's not soil, so it's very soil, there's a lot of water surface that sits at the top. So unfortunately the body doesn't decompose, like you said, very quickly. It is all because we had a soil test done. There was a chemist that came in and actually done some soil test for Islam Channel program, and they actually said it was one of the best soils. Best in the sense that it was preserving the body rather than decomposing the body. But alhamdulillah, it's virgin land, it's 55 acres. We're moving on to our second phase, which is another further 10 acres. We have got now our own office and our own building for prayer area, a washing facility as in wudu facility. We don't wash the body there. At the moment in London there's 12 funeral directors. Whether they operate from a mosque or independently, there's 12 funeral directors that you can approach, depending on which area you live in. Now each of them charge differently, each of them operate differently, each of them do this differently, which I've seen. But much of the process I see the Shaykh to do is the best method. It's the Sunnah method of doing it. Because the packs that I have bought from Shroud.com, it has got all these ingredients that the brother has shown. So where we can, we should. We shouldn't go for shortcuts. And obviously, I know it's quick with the shower, quick with that, and people are putting pressure behind you saying, let hurry up, we need to get the next one in. But again, it's dignity, it's how much respect you give that individual. So I've got more information there for you brothers. Purley Mosque, according to Google Maps, is 40 minutes from here. It's approximately 14 miles from here, so it's not that far. Croydon was the worst situation with regards to burial space. That's why the Queen's Gardens that Faiz was talking about was that, yes, we're not putting down the brothers that have been buried or are burying there because they're looking for location. That is the closest to Croydon, but it's reclaimed Christian graves. Now, I'm not here to give anyone any advice on the Islamic version because I'm not a learned person on that. Some prefer it, some don't. But where we have got a Muslim cemetery, which is slightly further away, it will be one of the biggest Muslim cemeteries in London because obviously we fall under London. Tower Hamlets just bought 6.2 acres of us for £3.2 million, and we subsidised every Tower Hamlet resident to be buried for £650. You can't be buried for £650 anywhere. The cheapest and the most expensive is £13,500 to be buried in Bromley, if you do that out of Bromley. I mean, Cardinal Peace at the moment is 2,700. We're at 2,300 because we have the space at the moment. These prices are going up 8 to 10% every year. I'm not here for a sales talk, I'm here to give you a something that I'm going to manage to do for the community to use. If you're not aware of it, you won't know. Islam Channel will be on Islam Channel, those of you who watch TV for last 2 years, and to give it awareness. Next month we're doing a documentary, maybe the Shaykh will be involved, in a half-hour documentary showing, it's called an info commercial, where we show from start to finish what happens. Because a lot of brothers don't know, like the gentleman said, you know, it's a panic stage, because there may never have been a death in the family, and you don't know what to do. We've got a 24-hour line there. It is a helpline, and it does transfer onto my mobile, or I can advise people accordingly. I mean, I may not know the answer, but there is certain regulations and certain things that are coming in favourable to us, like I was talking about CT scanning, and we are going around in mosques and delivering these talks, and inshallah making more and more of the community aware. What we're trying to do is like a one-stop information place where brothers time we need that. We also have all children burials up to the age of 12. We're with a Muslim charity called Children of Jannah, which we launched last year. We do free burials, we don't charge no burials for children up to the age of 12. We do have a Mars Fund. This organisation, yes, is a profit-making company. I am a worker for this company, and they do make a profit, so obviously they're not really doing anything as trust-free, but what they have given us is quite a lot. And everything we needed, yeah, they've delivered. So we're very lucky in that sense. Whereas we want to be able to afford to raise 30 million to just get the land and then to build on. But for now, that's where we are.
What's the parent? Just a point to make, not an answer. When at Muslim Cultural Association of Croydon, they were doing this research on cost of burials. As you rightly said, Bromley was the most expensive.
Yeah.
But we also discovered that your costs are not much less than what if you go to Croydon Council's budget.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. To be honest, I had an influence on that with the directors because at the moment we've got the space. They want to match it with what the surrounding pricing are. But while we've got the space, we can actually influence that pricing. So that's why I'm telling the community, and all the Muftis agreed, is that it's something that we should preempt and pre-purchase. The pre-purchase, it doesn't mean the deed's in your name, but it doesn't mean if you say you die in Pakistan or another country, that plot belongs to your family, you can use it for your family, or you can give it to a Rawadas. Because that's the other thing that we also run, is that we get a lot of requests because no one's got any family, no one's got any friends and family, so before we do a collection in the mosques, what I say is that contact my cemetery, and inshallah I'll make sure we're very first and decorate.
I just got one question for you. There are several mosques in southwest London. Only a few larger ones are providing ghusl and burial services. Smaller mosques like Thornton Heath or Purley, they don't have any such facilities as yet. Is it in your future plans not only to provide burial facilities, but the whole ghusl and...
We looked at that. It was something that we were going to implement. The reason we didn't is that a lot of the washing facilities is associated to mosques. And mosques do make a little money for their mosque. So if we take that business away from the mosque, they're not going to feel good about it. Do you understand? Because that £600, £700 that the mosque makes to do the washing facility, if I started doing it here, then there's no purpose for them to do anything.
No,
they will lose out.
So in case of when this old man kicks the bucket, does my family get in touch with Masjid, Croydon Masjid,
yeah,
or with yourselves?
A lot of the times, if they pre-purchased, they will contact us direct. Or even if they haven't, they will contact us and say, look, what do I do from here? We will ask where they are, and then we will give them the nearest funeral director, maybe 2 funeral directors close to them. Then if they want us to engage for them, because obviously the time of their need, we will do that. Otherwise, we'll leave it to the family to make that decision. Sure.
What did you say the price was?
The price at the moment, what we're doing is on the pre-purchase, is 2,300, which is normally 2,500 on the single, and 2,700 on the double. But on the double, there is £1,000 interment fee, which means when you come to bury the second person, you only pay £1,000. Who's going to re-dig that out? So I'm not, that's a small print which I'm telling you now. Something which is on there.
So was the double 2,700 and then another 1,000?
For the double, 2,700, and then 1,000 at the time of the second burial, when we come to do the second burial. But the single one, the 2-3 one, once you pay that, that includes the maintenance, that includes the burial, that even includes the marble plaque that gets placed on the grave. The concept, we haven't reinvented the wheel here, the concept is exactly the same. Hayden done a marvellous job, we just copied the same model over. We do work very closely with them, we are having meetings with them. We just had a recent burial conference which we just come back from. And we have got Shaykh which they're involved now. We sit every quarter discussing the common issues or issues that we have which we need to come back to yourselves.
Sorry, that's for 50 years, yeah?
That's for 50 years, yes, one generation.
What have you put in place after 50 years? What happens to the body?
Right, before it reaches 50 years, the common practice for all cemeteries, whether it's 99, 50, whatever you will, is that 5 years before your lease is about to expire, if that grave is still visited, and they've got records of your address, and your address doesn't change, they will write to you every year for the next 5 years. Yeah? If after the 5 years, they can't just bury somebody on top of your one, because this cemetery is also protected by the National Forest because it's built within the park where we've got trees that are 300 years old, but they're protected. So it's 75 years, according to their conditions, we can't do nothing on this park. Nothing can be built on this park for 75 years. But we've got Tower Hamlet who've negotiated over 125 years. So the body must decompose by 50 years, even in a clay matter. So eventually, after 100 years, possibly, it will be reused as a cemetery. But it's impossible, isn't it? I mean, all these years, this particular land, it was a Camel Manor, 55 years. There's 55 acres that's here. So it's never been given permission apart from this. Now, I don't know. It's not something that I'll put my hand on my heart and say that these guys, in 50 or 100 years' time, a new company comes over and they build something else on it. But they can't do nothing for 125 years. That's what I do know.
But to give service
in advance, the actual burial the time of release starts at the time of burial. So if you move away for the children, the children will live for another 50 years, well, that's when it will start.
Basically, by now, I mean, because the prices go up.
Yes,
that's
because believe me, in 5-10 years' time, the way the market's going, every year the price is by 10%, you will see that these same plots will be £10,000 in 10 years.
and how many?
This is where our company has given us a discounted rate, and then we have to then fund from the community to help bury these individuals.
So
Us, because we have burial grounds, and so we have someone who hasn't got no family. We've approached the local mosque, they're trying to raise money. They were doing that quite a lot before, and they were holding on to the deceased. When I came along, I said that's wrong, because the deceased shouldn't be held on because of the funds. So I went back to my non-Muslim directors and said, look, this is a situation I've got within my community. If I can get the funds later, if I didn't raise them the funds, I give the deceased the deed to be buried immediately, would that be okay? So now we do it at a subsidised rate, and mashallah, there's a lot of funeral directors out there who give their services for free, so they don't charge, and when a virus does happen, it comes to us. Including End of Care, there's a company called End of Care. It's a Muslim company based in East London, and it's called End of Life Programme. So they pre-plan all this because again, they don't have families, they don't have things. So we work with a lot of organisations, making sure. If you need more information, Khalid, my colleagues here as well, and I have, thank you from Muslim Association of Croydon. There was one issue that you just wanted to say on that. Some people couldn't afford to pay the 2,300. We couldn't do it because of the FSI regulation take monthly instalments, but what they're doing as a community is doing a monthly instalment system, whereas they will collect and then purchase if anybody wants to do an instalment system. If you want to be buried in your garden and you get the plan for it, you can. A lot of people don't know that.
You might find it difficult.
You said it's going to be the money. Yeah, as long as it's the strictures on it, as long as it's 3 hours, there's other criteria involved, I'm not quite sure what, but as long as you've got space.
I read somewhere that if one is buried in the back garden, when it comes to time of sale, it might be difficult.
Yes, because you have to disclose it, you have to, yeah. So bear that in mind, your property value might drop. Alright, it's not like evidence of doing so that will.
Everyone's been very patient. We're going to bring on with that, inshallah. If there are people, you know, the whole idea today was that people get frightened and do a practical aspect, but we've been listening. If people are still here after Maghrib and people want to try their hand at the practical side of it, it's not going to take like an hour. It's not going to take that long, really. And it might be something that will stick in your mind rather than just going through the sheets. Then Faiz and a few of us will still be here. We're not just going to disappear. I understand people might have something on, they can't stay for the whole length. So you know, I appreciate you all being very, very patient as well. So we'll pray Maghrib, we'll see who is here, and then we have some sheets and things we can use the space in the mosque. And I think, you know, half an hour max, probably after Maghrib, at least if we get into a group of 4 or 5, would be a good experience for us to try and do our hand at you know, backing someone up for doing that. And then again, Shaykh Faiz around for any last minute questions, and then we'll wrap up after that. Inshallah.